Hi everyone, I have some really big news to share with everyone. I was gardening here in my front yard and one of my neighbors was walking by and he offered a plot for us to garden. So he has been and his family been living here in Queens for a long time, and they have this huge space that his family used to garden. Back in the day they still garden, but he said that not to the full extension of that plot, not to that big scale. He was telling me that they plant some tomatoes and some peppers during the summer, but there's so much more space that could be used. So he asked me if I wanted to help them out and garden in there, and in return we just share the harvest. So obviously I said yes, and I'm very excited to share this space with you guys and show how it looks like over there.
Yeah, here's how the garden looks like now. This is all the space that we have. I went ahead and I already weeded all this side, but I wanted to leave this side still the way it is so you guys can see how it was as soon as I got it. I also pulled some plants that were left here from last growing season, and here is how the weeded area looks like. And this is how it's going to be like about tomorrow. I'm gonna have some time to weed the other side too. On that little corner over there, putting out everything that we pulled out, and I'm thinking to maybe make a little composting area. I'll check with my neighbor if it's okay with him to do that, but I want to try to use as much as I can for what I have here. So I'm gonna try to make that big composting in an area when I clean and everything, can throw everything in there so I can start reusing these materials or recycling to the earth. And here's the view from the other side. That's how it looks like. This side is looking so much better already. And I'm gonna go here. It's a little table in there that I'm gonna clean that area up too. And this is a peach tree. It's probably gonna bloom very soon. Show some of the buds, if you can see. Interesting that we have in the middle of a bunch of apartments in New York City, and this is how we got here. But this is a fig tree over here, and that's over there. It's a grapevine, and on that area is gonna have some flowers. I'm gonna try to cover these things with flowers or something. This is obviously not my property, so I can't do anything about this wall or anything, but I think that once we have lots of plants in here, this is going to look very pretty. And here's a little bit closer look. I don't know if this is the most efficient way to do this, but I'm using this tool that was already here in the garden. And what I'm basically doing, I'm just trying to pull the weeds up from the roots, and I'm putting them all here in the corner for now. Obviously it's not 100% efficient, but I'm gonna try to fix at least it gives me a start, and I'll see how I can keep going. This is how it looked like before.
Hi everyone, so today is day 2. I'm here with my partner Danny. He's going to help me with, we're going to take measurements today. Yesterday, as I showed you, we weeded everything, and I didn't really turn the soil, but we make sure it was nice and fluffy. I don't think we need to turn it, it looks really good. So today we are going to go get some amendments from this bed. I wanted to introduce some more organic matter to the soil, since I'm not really sure what's been going on here and this is brand new to us. We decided to play safe and take care of our soil before we start planting. So we are taking measurements today, figuring out what we're going to plant and where, so we can go grab what we need. By 3.5. Oh, and then you want to do the math of how much is everything? Or should we also measure this whole thing just to know how much we have? Or
How much space it is in general?
Yeah, how much this whole garden.
Yeah.
How much soil we have from. We can measure just from here. So, okay, we did the first measurements. I will share that with you guys later, but we basically marked with this little pads, the little wood, little squirrel visitor. It's probably gonna be a problem for us. Here it is. Hey, dude. Off limits here. The city squirrels are really, really big. Okay, we have divided everything and made into our pathways and what will be our future raised beds. We're not going to divide them with wood. We think we're just going to be marking this so we know where we can go through. Everything is measured out. Now we're just going to dig from here and put into the beds, and then when we amend it, we're only going to amend where the vegetables are going to grow. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Kind of changed our minds a little bit. So we dig some holes. We're gonna cover this up with mulch. This will be our pathways where we'll be able to reach the beds. We decided to use the dirt that we already have there to fill up the beds a little more, and we can put mulch to suppress the weeds, and that way we can use the resources we already have to make sure our plants are getting as much food as they can. And that way we kind of turn the soil too, because we make it nice and fluffy on top of each of the beds here. It is a little windy today, so it's a little bit hard to document everything, but I'm going to show you guys what we're doing right now. We are, those trenches that we digged, we added some unfinished compost underneath, and now we're putting some cardboard over each one of them. And at the end, we're going to cover with mulch, so it's going to look just like this. It will be, you can't see the paths, but now we will know that we can walk through here and it won't disturb the soil, and this that's in here will help feeding the beds as well. We are going to put mulch and everything here, and I'll show you if you can see me not too blurry, and I'll show you how it looks like after. Okay, so we are done now filling the mulch in the little trenches with the unfinished compost and the cardboard. That gives it balance to it. The cardboard comes as a brown for composting, and the unfinished compost is going to be the green. So we just want to make sure that's good for pest management, so we don't attract anything that we don't want in here. And now to amend these beds, we're not really sure what's in this because this plot was passed to us, but not much explanation about the soil itself. So I am going to add some organic fertilizer, this garden ton from Spoma. It's organic, it's really good. There's some chicken manure here too, and there's other organic things in the bag that I can list down below if you're interested. And I'm gonna use this to mix with the soil on the beds, on the parts that we're gonna plant things. Same thing with this here, with this peat moss. It's from Canada, so it's sustainably harvested. We decided to add this to the soil because we do know this mostly of this clay. It's really heavy, and we want to add some aeration and also help the ability of the soil to retain water. And the peat moss does a very good job with that. We only got one bag because the soil also has been rusted. This is an experiment, so we're going to try to divide this huge bag here into the beds and mix it around, mix with the fertilizer, and then we'll be ready. I'm going to open the peat moss now, and you can see how it looks like inside. So it's very, there's no nutrition in this. It's very absorbent, and it will help to retain moisture and give some lightness to the soil. It's very windy today, as you can see. I almost lost my peat moss, so I'm gonna try to work fast, but we do have to do it today because of the time in the spring. And I'm just gonna throw some, wait for this gas filling to go. I'm afraid that if I put this peat in there, it's just gonna fly away. Should I do it? Okay, how does it? Oh, there you go, see? Not adding too much because there's a lot in this bag, so I'm only going to start with this. If I have leftover, I'll put some more in there. Okay, now I'm going to do the fertilizer. It has instructions in the back how much you put. I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm going to probably put a little bit more. So fast that I can walk through now. You can grab with your hands, but this is very hard to do this on the wind, guys, so it's good. It's bad for now. This fertilizer, because it's granular, is recommended to mix with the soil. But later on, if I feel we see that the soil is not really doing really good and we need to add more food for our plant food, you can also put it around the stem. So let's say if I already had a plant in here, I'll come with the fertilizer, I just go around the stem and get my hands and lightly mix with the soil. When we have a chance to do this, to do before planting, it's even better. But I understand that sometimes you can only tell if you need more fertilizer if one thing's already in here. But it's an alternative too, so you can use this both ways. Today we'll be mostly planting peas along the whole bed here. And I have a few seedlings from my front yard garden that I bought in here. And I'm gonna plant, but only the cold hardy stuff because this Thursday was supposed to get below freezing, and I don't want to risk losing a little bit of some of the tender things that I have out there. So we decided to wait, but we want to prepare the beds and the soil ahead of time.
In the back over there, we sold all peas. It's gonna be peas all the way. Now there's some shade coming to here, so let's see. But this, we have amended the beds. We are still studying the sun and everything in here before we really decide where we're gonna plant everything. And I have some plant starts from my front yard that I have started from seed inside my house a little while ago. I am going to plant them in these two first beds here, because so far we saw those are the ones who get the most sun.
I also have a few season here that I'm planning to put in this first bed. I'm gonna sow some carrots and some radish. I want to see, I know it's a heavy soil, I want to see how those carrots do here. And radish is a quick crop, so it will help breaking down the soil.
My stance was, I just want to make sure you and I
And I want to also put some daikon, because I was reading that daikon is really great to help breaking heavier soils in the beginning of the season, and then if we don't harvest, which we probably will do because I love eating daikon, they also add very good organic matter to the soil. So I read that in the permaculture book that I'm reading, Gaia's Garden. I can link that down below here too. And I thought it was really cool. So because I have a lot of daikon seeds, I'm going to try to put that here. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm gonna make this garden work, especially because I really like to analyze things first, and I didn't have time this year much. We just got this last week, and I really don't know about what the sun patterns are. As you can see, there's shade coming here because we're behind a few buildings. We're in New York City, Queens, so there are some local store buildings up here at top, and we will lose sun pretty soon. So I want to make sure that I pay attention to that as much as I can, even though we're short in time, to see how I can make the best use of this space to be more efficient and not have my really big plants shade the younger plants, especially because there's already a limitation of sun in here. It's now the end of March, as I said, and it's about 2 p.m. now, so in my half of the garden is already all shaded. So we are hoping that when the sun's a bit higher, we'll have more sun to it. And once it passes this building, we might have sun again in the afternoon. Not yet, because the angle of the sun is so low, but we're hoping to, with the progress of the season, that will happen. So we'll learn as we go. This is our first time in the spot, so it'll be an experiment. We did ask our very nice neighbor that let us garden here about the sun patterns, but they say they just morning sun, but they haven't really observed that to detail much. So we will be learning as we go. Over here on this trays, I have some magnolia tender peas. I was thinking to put this in here. I'm thinking about I still have just sold a bunch of Alaska early peas, because I know that gets hot really fast in New York City. So I'm afraid that my peas are it's going to be too hot for them by the time they come to fruition. So I decided to plant an earlier variety. Even though I'm sacrificing a little bit of flavor, those are usually not as flavorful as ones that are a bit longer. But that one's called Alaska peas. I bought that when we were upstate last year. It's really cold up there, so 4B, we're almost by the border with Canada, and they do really well there. So but they do well because they're fast, they mature early. So I planted that all along this back fence here. That should also give us some privacy. And I have some magnolia tender peas. Those are purple peas, really pretty. Just want to see how they look like. I'm going to find a good spot for them here, and I want to make sure they're separate so you can tell what they are. And here on these trays I have some kale, some parsley, some Swiss chard, a bunch more kale, also cauliflower, some beets, and some lettuce. So I am going to try to figure out where I'm going to plant them in here. I'm leaning towards planting some of this stuff towards the edge, but I know there's more sun in the back, so I just have to do a little bit of thinking. And also this is an experiment, so if it doesn't work, learn our lesson. But I want to get some things in the ground as soon as possible, because those are quite crops and they need to I started them a little time ago, and they need to get a bigger home. Okay, you guys can see me over here. I am going to first make sure I put gloves on, and I'm going to start with actually the daikon. So I am going to start with the daikon on the edge here, and I think I am gravitating towards putting the cauliflower on this bed. So the next row I might even mix them up, do some cauliflower, some kale. These beds are 4 by 6 feet, so if I was following this square foot gardening, I could put one plant per, but because I have so much space here, I am going to give them a bit more than 1 foot per plant, just to see how this is, because in my front yard I have limited space over there. Everything is planted close together, and I'm very curious to see if it would have a big difference or not. So I'm just amended the soil, but I'm kind of just loosening it up a little bit. It rained a lot yesterday, so it's a bit heavy. But again, this is a Japanese daikon radish. Very big seeds. I'm assuming the seedlings are probably gonna get really big too. I will also after scatter them around this bed, but for this purpose I'm just going to do a line in the front for now. So for sowing this, they're bigger seeds. I'm just going to put a couple per hole. They're new, so I know the seeds are viable. They're probably 1 or 2 is just enough. I never sow only 1 seed because I was afraid that the day I do that, that seed's not gonna come up and I'm gonna have to fill the hole. But here it is. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 daikons, 5 by 5. I still have some seeds in my hands, so I'm just gonna set this in this little bag where my peas were. I lose them, and I'm going to plant. I also got this time I got my little labelers, because in my front yard I have a lot of stuff that I don't really know what it is, because I thought I was going to remember, but guess what? I never do. So this time I'm prepared. I'm going to write daikon here so I remember in the future what I planted. It's really good practice. Here you go. For the mature plants I don't need, because I already know what they are from. I can tell what they are here. So I'm gonna move this to the side real quick, and I'm gonna put some cauliflower in here. There's 4 feet, so I'm gonna do 3 cauliflowers. Let's see how they will do here. Cauliflower is also, because it's a brassica, it's also somehow shade tolerant. It's really big, so should I put it more? There's a bag. I'm learning as I go here. I might do some kale. Some other holes here. Here are my cauliflower. They've been here for a little while, but the roots look fine. You see, they're not root bound yet, so I think it's okay. Cauliflowers are usually slow growers, and this bed here that I'm planting them, it's the bed, because the sun is that way, it's the bed that I plan to do my 3 sister or my okra garden. I don't want to plant all my tall stuff here first, and then when it gets warmer, everything that's in here shades that area, and then I don't have a lot of sunlight that is already limited for me. So I'm going to first, because I have already started with tomatoes, I'm going to put tomatoes here, but tomatoes going to be towards the back, so while they grow, then I can do other stuff in the front, and that way they won't shade that side of the garden. So that will work. But let's get this cauliflower out of here. Here we go. I'm going to keep planting here. I'm limited with space, so for sure I can't show you the back of the bag, but I'll try to show you how it looks like when I finish. So I know I said I was not going to film this because I didn't have space, but my amazing partner just came over and he's holding the camera, so you guys will be able to see what I'm doing in the back too. I have done the remaining cauliflowers back here. Those 3 cauliflowers, we did it together. My daikon is in there. I'm going to put, there was a baby sprout of a mustard in one of these cauliflower trays. I put it in here. Mustard are also really cold hardy. I want to put a kale in here. See, I'm doing this wrong. I should be in there and not stepping on the bed. So I still gotta get used to this garden. But that would be the best way, so I'm not compressing the soil that we worked so hard to loosen up and amend it. So let me switch spots, so I'm doing things the way I say. The way it should be. And I'm going to put this big kale, it's already getting a little big, in here behind the cauliflower. soil is a little dense. It's rained a lot yesterday, so I can feel. Before when I came here, it felt nice and loose, but now it's definitely the water made it heavy. This guy getting a new home. Hopefully, with all this space, he's gonna do really well in tribal love kill. But we haven't been harvesting that much lately, so I'm excited. I'm putting the Swiss chard in between these cauliflowers in here. Now, I am not measuring anything on this bed. I'm not following the square foot like I say gardening or anything. And then I'm gonna move and put some stuff in the bed behind me. Going to be for now, I'm giving them a lot of space. I might sow a few seeds of carrots in between here. But now I'm gonna move along to this bed that's now all shaded. But it's okay for the seedlings. It's a good thing when you're transplanting not to have that much sun, because if you transplant in the middle of the day, it's really hot. The seedlings will they can wilt and not be very happy. So the best time for transplanting, if it's a cold day, then no problem. It's okay to do a little bit more towards the middle of the day, but in general, you would try to do this in the morning or a little bit later in the afternoon. So I have some beets in here, have some leeks that I'm super excited about it. This bed is abandoned with peat moss, so I'm going to do a row of leeks in here. Even though I was trying not to get away from the rolls kind of situation and do a more diverse bed, just for this purpose, I'm going to put some leeks in here, and then I'll do the kale around. For the leeks, like anything, any seedlings, I press the bottom and I pull them. Look at these beautiful roots. So see how these roots are very different from the cauliflower. They hardly see any roots. So these guys needed a new home, but they are really resilient, so it's easy for me to break them apart. So this is, you're like teasing the roots when you do that. You can be gentle, try to be as gentle as you can. Even though they're resilient, the less damage makes to a healthier plant. So here we go. It's always satisfying when you don't hear so much tearing noises, when it just comes out. It's really great. So leeks like to be planted really, really deep. Because we're fortunate to have a lot of soil in here, I'm gonna plant up to here, and I will keep mounding it to make it white. That process is called blanching. When you get leeks in the supermarket that you see all that white spot, that stem, it's because when you cover with soil, or some people they cover with any sort like paper or anything or leaves, when they are not in contact with the sun, they can't really develop the chlorophyll, so they will become white instead of being green. If you don't do that, you're gonna have a teeny little bit of white and most greens in the leeks, and the tasty part of the leeks is the bottom that's white, also because chlorophyll is a little bit bitter, so that's why they do white asparagus and all that. Fun fact too, white asparagus are actually not a different variety. They just covered and grow out of the sun, so they actually get bleached white. I learned that in the farm last year. So my friend that's a great farmer. So there you go. I'm giving them a lot of space because these guys are gonna get big, and I'm probably gonna put another row in there and interplant with other things here. It is the next day now. We have finished the planting. Still pretty windy. It had rained, and I'm going to show you guys how the garden looks like at this point, how the plot looks like.
So here is the stuff I planted yesterday. We covered with a little bit more mulch on both beds. The peas, we have some birds this morning scratching here, so our neighbor has this screens. He says that actually often happens, and he had that in there so I could use to try to cover the seeds. Obviously it's not covering all the seeds because I planted peas all along from here to there, but if we can save some, that would be great. And on this side we did a few things too that didn't do very well overnight, so I'm not even going to worry about it very much. I also have some peas in there that are protected. But that's it. Overall, this is where we're gonna check out from this video, and we will make sure that we keep adding the progress as we go.
And if you have any questions about anything in here or what we did do a lot in this past couple of days, just please make sure to leave a comment down below. If you liked what you saw here, I would really appreciate if you could give us a thumbs up on this video. It really helps us to get exposed to more people, and more people see and follow our work. So I really appreciate that. Make sure that you subscribe if you haven't yet, and don't forget to leave a comment with anything, any suggestions you want to leave for us with this new journey, with this new plot. I'll be very grateful. And that's it for now. We will be back with the progress. And hopefully in a couple months this will be a completely different place with all of green, full of greens and lush all around us. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.